Peace, y'all, and welcome back to Naturally Tea. Today's video is going to be my birth story. So I'm going to try to condense this video, make it as short, concise, and informative as possible. I took some notes so that, I jotted down my memories, and I just wanted to not be rambling while telling the story. So give me 1 second. Okay. So first off, I wanted to start off by saying that I am less than a week from being 1 year postpartum. So I'm hoping that this video uploads, by tomorrow, so that'll still be true. Okay, we'll see how that goes. But I wanted to start off first by saying that it took me a while to be comfortable sharing this journey, sharing this with others, because as I've grown, I started to realize that, privacy is sacred and birth is sacred. It took me a while to decide to share, but I did want to share because I'm hoping that it can inspire others. I'm also hoping that more people will start birthing in non-traditional. I don't even want to say non-traditional, because I feel as though it is traditional, and going to the hospital and having to be in that space is really non-traditional. But just for the sake of the norm, in more non-traditional ways. So I'm going to start off by saying that I have 4 babies. I have older children. I have one that is almost 7. So this is my youngest, who's almost a year. When I had my first baby, I had all 3 of my other children inside of teaching hospitals. The least troubling experience I think I had was with my son, although we did have a moment where my placenta was like lost and they couldn't find it, and I had to have someone like reach in and like try to find my placenta and pull it out, which was like a traumatic, it wasn't traumatic, but it was traumatic. It was a traumatic incident. Just quick to start with, for my mothers with just one baby, just know that it gets easier with every child. Typically, your labor becomes shorter. The pain, even though the pain is always going to be intense, your body becomes more able to handle it because you already experienced it before. So with each passing child, it becomes easier if you decide to have more than one, if you decide to have any at all. My first daughter, it was a traumatic experience for me because, like I said, it was a teaching hospital. I didn't know very much about anything, and after I had her, I remember my nurse delivered her, and I'm so grateful to that nurse because it was just me and her and my daughter's father, and she got me through it. She birthed the baby, she birthed my daughter, she cleaned her up. She assisted me in birthing my daughter. She cleaned her up, she gave her to me. And then like minutes later, it was all of these doctors of a different race that came in and were like sticking their finger. And this is when I was like 20 years old. And they were like looking. And I was just like, I literally was so out of it, I wasn't even paying attention. Like, my kid's father had to be like, yo, like, that was weird. My second daughter, I delivered her in one of those triage rooms. And it wasn't as bad of an experience with the hospital. It was just, an experience where I don't feel like I was as informed. And again, you really can't blame the hospital technically because of the fact that that's what our parents are for. That's what our family members are for, to teach us and to guide us, through those things. And I could have made it without an epidural with my second daughter, because literally she came minutes after my epidural. So I could have went without it, to be honest. I told you about the experience with my son. To backtrack, when I had my first daughter, I wanted to go outside and get some fresh air, and I kept saying, I want to go outside, like I get some air, because they typically keep you 2 days after the delivery. And what I was told is that if I left from that unit, then I would have to basically sign, like I would have to check myself out, and I would have to sign something saying that they're keeping my daughter until I come back to get her 2 days later. So basically, we were held hostage for like 2 days. Okay, that's that. But on to the positivity. So 6 years, was it a full 6 years? 5 years after my last son. During this 5 years, I learned so much. I became a personal trainer, so I became much more aware of like health and wellness. I started moving a little away from mainstream health and wellness to more holistic wellness, mind, body, soul, realizing that everything works together. And I've, of course, stumbled upon the natural birthing community. And then just from hearing just a few stories, it was like within like 1 to 2 stories, it was like all of these light bulbs going off, about the differences in experience, about, how so many women, sidebar, when so many women that I know personally have had bad experiences in the hospital, and then to compound that with the women who have lost their lives in the hospital during pregnancy and during delivery, it's just so insane. And I'm just grateful to God that I made it through all 4 pregnancies. All 4. And to be honest with you, a lot of people know that I also had a ectopic pregnancy, in which I lost one of my fallopian tubes because it popped. And God brought me through all 5 of those pregnancies, and I'm just grateful to God. So thank God. But back into it. With this experience, I knew I wanted something different. I tried to nurse with all 3 of my children, my prior children, and each one of them, the duration became longer, because initially at first I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know that you were supposed to just keep letting the baby suckle until the milk comes. Like, you keep letting the baby nurse until the milk comes. You don't just say, oh, it's no milk coming, and give up. And that's what I did with my first baby, and I didn't know any better. And then my second baby, I nursed a little teeny bit longer, and then the third one I nursed a little longer, and then this baby, I'm going strong, and my goal is 18 to 24 months. So we'll see, by God's grace. But so let's just hop into it. Like I said, I stumbled across the Birthing Society, the free birthing, natural birthing society. And I listened to people like Nicole Reed, Phoenix Wild. I think I honestly had gotten into it before I listened to their stories, but I can't remember like the origins. Like, I can't remember exactly how I got into natural birthing. I honestly cannot remember right now. But eventually I stumbled across them, and then Earth Mama Medicine, who directed me towards the Free Birth Society, where I started listening to their podcast and hearing about women who gave birth in yurts, and it just started to bring back all of those innate feelings that your body can handle this, you got this, I got this, your body can do it, you can take the pain. People before us took the pain. At one point in time, it was no epidural. At one point in time, it was no laying on your back, legs up. Like, we had to do what we had to do, and that was just that. So I heard about a woman who had her baby in a yurt, like in the middle of the winter, and she had like this fire going, and she said it was like the most amazing experience that she had ever felt. And I was just like, oh, like I want candles. And so I just started fantasizing like this birth story. And sidebar, I don't know anyone who had their birth go the way that they planned. So you can plan all day long, but when that contraction hits and you're just trying to keep yourself sane and here, and it's, unless you have like a team, like your midwife and your doula and your significant other, you get some things, but I don't think you're gonna check all of those boxes. As long as you check healthy baby box, then you did a good job. And healthy mom, you did a good job. So I found out I was pregnant. We went over that. I started off at Washington Hospital Center. I knew I wasn't going to stay with them. It was so funny because literally a year before, someone told me about, well, shout out Miriam from the Den. She told me about a birthing center in DC, and I was just like so interested. I was like, oh, cool. But at the time, I was like, no more babies for me. But it happened, and I had, when I realized like, oh, it's a birthing center, I decided to have my care there. I can't even remember why I started off at Washington Hospital Center. I think it was because they had been following my ectopic, and I just wanted to follow and make sure that this baby was in the right place and growing appropriately. And then once I hit 5 months, I switched over, which was so perfect because that was literally the deadline. So if you're going to a birthing center, they sometimes have deadlines, like you have to come in for care at a certain month. Like you can't come in towards the end of your pregnancy, and I guess it's because they want to get to know you before doing so. So we took these classes. My initial checkups were individual checkups until I got to about 7.5 months. And once I hit that time, I started having group sessions. So with women who were due like within a week or two of my due date. So before, week before, week after, somewhere in that same area. And the classes were nice. It was interesting. We learned, you go over the typical stuff like birth control from afterwards. We talked about doula. We made a like plaster cast of our stomach, and I'm gonna show you guys. Look, let me just show you guys. So this is my tummy. We sat down and made it. That's why it's only half. But I painted this side. Those are flowers. I don't know if you can see. And then my husband painted this side. Those are birds. It's cool. Some people put these, like mount them to something and hang them on the wall. So we're just trying to figure out how we're going to keep this. But I love it. But anyway. So, yeah, we had some neat sessions, and like towards the end, of course, and during those sessions, we also did our regular check-in, so like blood pressure, weight, how are you doing, and then baby's heart rate, and people would just go behind the partition and do that, and then have the class on the opposite side, so it was really cool. Then towards the end, we got to check out the rooms. That was like brief, but I think prior to, I could have requested to see more, you know, have more time there, but it was fun. I got to go when I got to see it. The rooms were at average room size. It was just a bed and a couch and a bathroom, and then the tub was like jacuzzi, I believe, type style. I can't remember. But you could have done a water birth back there. I just knew that I wanted my husband and my older children there. And so that was pretty much what I was worried about. It seemed like a comfortable space, and that was pretty much it. So let's get to the labor, because I don't want this to be too long. So to the labor. Basically, so let's also say that this pregnancy, I think I felt the sickest. As far as, and I think it was a lot of mental, as far as like the weight gain and like not feeling completely well, and then feeling dehydrated all the time and having like such bad reflex, and then the mental stress of also dealing with my other children. I think that all played a part in how I felt, especially towards the end, because towards the end it was just like, I'm ready. So when I had him, like I said, I was so dehydrated because I had a reflex. I had such bad reflex that when I would drink water, it would burn. My stomach would burn. Okay. And so I would just sip, I didn't even really sip water like I should have, to be honest with you. I was just walking around dehydrated and thirsty like all the time, because I just didn't want that acidic type of feeling. And so I remember when I went into labor, and so God is so good. Basically, because I started at Washington Hospital Center, and then I was transferred over to the birthing center, I had two different due dates. So one was based upon a I keep wanting to say x-ray, girl, get it together. One was based off of the ultrasound, and one was based off of them just calculating out my due date based upon my last cycle. So the one that they calculated out my due date was closer. It was like a week earlier or something not a week, probably like 4 or 5 days earlier. And I was like, we're gonna go with this due date, like I want this due date. So I remember when I was inching closer to my due date, because I have literally never gone 40 weeks before. I think the longest that I've gone is probably like 39 in a day, 39 in a few days. I've never gone 40 weeks. And with this due date, I was hitting 40 weeks. Okay, so honestly, I really don't know if I did actually hit the 40 weeks, or if I was still in that 39 week and some change period, because like I said, I had two different due dates. I'm not sure. But I remember when I hit that day, and I was just like, okay, what's going on? We need to be trying to have baby. What's going on? And I remember calling them, because they were like, if you don't come, and most people know this, if you don't come within a week of your due date, they want to induce. And so I remember calling them and being like, it's my due date. I'm not in labor. And they were like, well, and they checked, they went in and they went to Washington Hospital Center's records, and they said, oh, well, no, we see that you're not due until the 14th, 15th, something like that. And it was far out, y'all. It was far out. And so you're not going to be due, and, just call us back next week or something like that. And I remember crying, because I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm getting ready to be pregnant for another week. And I was just so emotional. And I lie to you not, I sat down and prayed, because I am Muslim, so I pray frequently. And I sat down and prayed. And while I was praying, something was just and it was God. That was just it's gonna be okay. If I have to be pregnant for 1 more week, I got this. I can do this. I'm good. We good. Baby is good. I'm good. Like, we got this. We can do this. And I am not lying to you guys. I am not lying. I stood up and my water broke. I stood up and my water broke. I was so happy. I called them back. I said, I said, my water broke. She said, what happened? I said, I just stood up and my water broke. And, you know, they went through the rundown of what to do, what not to do. I think at first they told me not to sit on the toilet. I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly. I was so excited. And she said, you know, try to eat something, get some strength, labor at home as long as you can. And when you get 5 minutes apart, come in. So I didn't mention that at the birthing center, you labor at home mostly and you come in for your birth, and then they give you 4 hours to, you know, rest and make sure that you're okay. And then you go home, and then they come to check up on you 1 to 2 days after delivery. So I hush. So I waited at home. I made myself some fish. I don't know what I was thinking, y'all. I made myself fried fish. I had like fried fish and like salad, or fried fish and corn, something like that. And I tore that fish up. Like, I was eating in between contractions, and I was just eating. And I was timing the contractions. I would remember being like 17 minutes apart. And then I remember like it hit, like I was 17 minutes apart 1 minute, and then next thing you know, I was down in that 5 to 6 minute range contraction. So I called my husband, or he came home, I can't remember. We all hopped in the car. Thank God, you know, thank God. We got in the car, and like the whole ride there, like it felt like the longest, bumpiest ride of my life. Like, it felt like every bump was like contraction. Like every contraction, at every contraction we hit a bump. At every bump it caused a contraction. Like, it was the longest ride of my life. We finally got there. It's all these people asking me questions. You know how, I mean, not all these people, but just I had one midwife that was already there. It felt like all these people, honestly, because I just wanted to get in and get in the bed so we could have this baby. And people were asking me, and I can't even remember like all of the questions that she was asking me. I know I got in, and like the contractions were so intense that I was just screaming, because I didn't take like a Lamaze class. I just trusted my body. Like, I just knew I knew what I had to do, and I knew what I was going to do. That's it. I watched a few videos. Like, I seen women who like kind of like tough it out through the contractions, and they like moan it out, like try to center that energy downward, which I understand. But I just went primal. Like, I was screaming. We make it to the back. I end up throwing up. Sorry, you know, if that's TMI. But once I threw up, she said, that's a good sign. That's how you know you're in labor. It's okay. And I was like, okay, cool. So then it's time for them to like get this IV in me, because I'm dehydrated. Like, I'm dehydrated, and they're trying to stick me, and because I'm so dehydrated, they can't get a vein. I'm not exaggerating. I probably was stuck about 8 or 9 times before she found a vein. And I remember her saying, if we can't find it, we're gonna have to send you to the hospital. And I remember thinking, I'm going home. I'm not having no baby in no hospital. And God bless me again, because they found the vein. They found the vein. And once they got the IV in, they finally let me move from the triage room to the delivery room, to the, you know, birthing room. And because the entire time I just kept saying, I want to go back to the birthing room. Let's get back to the birthing room. And we're still in this triage room, and it was so uncomfortable. and I just wanted to get to the back. And I remember screaming like 4 times because they wanted me to walk around, like to move it down. But I knew where I needed to be. My body knew where I needed to be. Like, trust your body, women. Trust your body. My body knew. I was blessed. So they wanted me to walk around. I was screaming, and I remember them saying, channel it down, channel it down. And when I got to the room, I was like, okay, stop screaming, stop screaming. Like, I started to feel like maybe I shouldn't be making all this noise. And that's another thing about birthing centers that, like, or just having other people in your space. I just let me do me. Let me do me. Let me get this baby out. Like, this is a life that is passing through me, and I could die. Like, this is everything that's happening right now. So let me do me. So we finally get to the back. As soon as I got back there, I'm like taking off stuff. I'm like, get in the bed. It's time to get in the bed. And they're like, you know, can you sit on the toilet? Stand on the side, like rock back and forth to the side, and get here, go. Like, they're trying to get the baby to come. And I'm like, just let me get in the fetal position. I'm laboring. I know this baby is about to come. I know this baby is about to come. I feel like mothers who have a long labor, eventually something in them is like, get up, move around. I need to get some momentum. Baby needs a little bit of momentum. I feel like mothers know their body. They know what's going on with themselves. And I knew I should have been where I was at. And every time they tried to take me out the bed, they would come back and I was back in the bed because I knew what was going on. And so I was so tired that I would fall asleep in between contractions, which is actually what happened with my first daughter as well. Like, I was so tired in between contractions, I would fall asleep. And then literally, I was, you know, they finally, like, all of the midwives had left. I had 3, and I loved that. It was very intimate. All of the midwives had left. My children were kind of like in and out of sleep on the side of the room. My husband was still somewhere near my bed, like hovering somewhere. And I remember like just waking up and feeling that pressure. It's like this tense pressure that's like it's like a pressure, and then it's like a release. And then you like feel the head like pushing and coming down. And I remember saying, catch my baby. Somebody catch my baby. And he was out. It was 1, 2, 3. He was out. That was it. All those candles I bought, sage, didn't get a chance to do a thing. I was able to have my children there. I was happy about that. My husband, I was happy about that. I was blessed. I was able to deliver there. I'm happy. I was blessed. And I had a healthy baby. And we've been going strong ever since, y'all. They came to check up on us, like I said, like a day or 2 later. And when they came to check up on us, they checked to see, you know, how he was doing, his vitals and things like that, and then how I was doing, how I was feeling. I was up, eating, taking showers, cleaning myself, cleaning him, nursing, mothering, you know what I mean? And then after that, I received several phone calls asking me if I needed anything. Like, this was a great experience. It was much better. It was a much better experience than being in the hospital. It was one step away from doing it by myself because literally, like, I did it. Somebody helped me catch the baby. But I still had the comfort of knowing that I had someone who, if anything happened, they were right there to assist. So it was an excellent experience. If you are deciding on whether you want to go the hospital route or a birthing center and you feel like you can do it at the birthing center, if you're in that type of position that you are able to do it at a birthing center, I would go for the experience, because the pain is temporary, but that experience is forever. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that I have it uploaded soon. It usually takes me like a day or two to get it from my phone to the computer to YouTube. So I'm hoping I can get this uploaded soon. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, I didn't realize that smaller YouTubers didn't have a community tab, so I was going to do like a poll on my next video. I think my next video is going to be just showing you guys what the kids plant, or I may actually get the legs for the stand. But the video after that is going to either be about my nursing journey or my next thrift store, experience, or maybe a thrift store live. So if you are still here, let me know in the comments, would you rather hear the nursing journey or another, thrift store, have a thrift store live, thrift store live meetup, something. So yeah, just let me know. And I hope you guys enjoyed and took something from my experience. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.